more thing. Now, what is the role of the government? The role of the government is extremely important, and since the time Narendra Modi ji became the chief minister, Gujarat, which was a power shortage state, it has become a power surplus state. Now, there's so much of focus by the government of India on power generation, and they are also planning a corridor which is called as a green corridor. They're going to manufacture 33,000 megawatts. It's part of the 12th plan, and so much of money is going to be invested. Like even in the earlier video I had discussed that these are very capital intensive projects, and it's not like starting a small shop or making a small house. So much of investments are involved in this, and after these investments happen, then you will find that there won't be any power shortage. In any case, there's no power shortage, but the main issue is for distribution and transmission of electricity, and all those issues will be taken care of by the government of India on this particular area. So as a result of it, the cost of power will come down, but lots and lots of states are also posing problems. The administration is very poor. There's so much of politics, but I don't want to get into that politics. But I think at this point of time we need to understand that a lot of state governments are not cooperating, and other than that, foreign investments are required, because we are talking of capital intensive products and we require huge money. Private capex is required, domestic investors are important, overseas funds are important, because when we talk about infrastructure, this is a debt financing asset class. Was it an asset class? Because asset class is somebody invests in a property, somebody makes a house and leaves it on rent, somebody puts in the bank for fixed deposits. All these are called as asset classes. For all these asset classes, you have certain risks, you have certain returns also. They are different for different things. Bank, the risk is less, but in the stock market risk is more, and accordingly your returns will also keep changing. So this debt financing, we are talking about debt instruments and other things. I will be putting up a separate video explaining what is asset class, what is funds, how are those funds apportioned, what are the returns on investments, etc. But in today's video, if you look at all these infrastructure projects, who finances all these? All these are done by NBFCs and banks. Apart from that, there is a need for foreign investments also, and investments required are too huge, because we are talking about 33,000 megawatts, which involves government funds, private funds, etc. And that is where we need overseas debt capital. Green bonds need to be introduced. I will also explain to you what is green bond, etc. All these things are extremely important. And what is the missing piece? That is domestic capital. Of course, government is working on that. All these are fine. We have talked about power generation, etc. We have discussed a lot about that. Now please tell me, which share do I buy? That's the question that comes in people's mind. But I will give you the background information, but you have to research, right? But some stocks, I would like to say, Tata Power, for example. If you look at Tata Power, it was being sold for 50 rupees, 40 rupees last year. I'm not talking about 10 years back, right? I'm just talking about 2020, beginning of 2020. But that has become 5 times. That is being sold for 250 rupees. If you had invested 1 lakh rupees 1-2 years back, today it has become 5 times. If you had invested in a bank, it wouldn't have even given you 10% returns, right? Of course, yesterday it was slightly down, but that's generally I'm saying. But it's for educational purpose, guys. Don't invest money today and you come to me after two months saying that money has not, just educational purpose. But you have to take your decision. I will provide the data. I will provide you, large direction, and along with that, wherever possible, I will provide you some data. But you have to take an informed decision yourself, right? That's the whole objective of this particular video. We have certain issues also, because if you look at this power industry, it is dominated by PSUs, public sector undertakings. Now for the last 6 or 7 years, PSUs have also started making profits, they've started doing a good job, but in spite of that there are certain issues and challenges, right? But once all these things come into picture, all companies will start getting benefited, the whole ecosystem, right? There are certain generation companies, for example EPC companies, engineering, procurement, construction, those companies will benefit a lot because the whole ecosystem is getting developed, because if one develops, all the other parts also will develop. You have equipment manufacturers, ABB, Alstom, those companies also will come up along with that. I will be putting up another video which will give you details about equipment manufacturers, and I will also be putting up a video in terms of how will you make fundamental analysis, technical analysis, all those things. But you have to do the research yourself. I will not spoon feed in terms of which stock to invest. Other things you have to look at CNBC, YouTube, etc., etc. But I will provide you the basic statistics relating to not just power sector, lots and lots of other industries also. So the power industries is very capital intensive, as we have talked about, and investment requires deep pockets. So any company which comes into this particular sector, they need to have deep pockets, because sometimes the business cycles are there. You may have sold to the government, but the government has not given you the payment. Your operations should not come to a standstill. The company, you should be in a position to stay afloat. Another company that comes to my mind is Power Grid, because we were talking about power distribution. There's a lot of issues in transmission, distribution, etc. So in the whole ecosystem, companies like Power Grid Corporation will also get benefited, but not in the immediate thing, but from a long-term perspective. If you invest in these companies, they will give you good returns. Something like putting an apple tree, it won't give you apples tomorrow. It will give, you got to wait for it. We are also talking about IPPs, which are independent power producers. We have talked a lot about NUG, non-utility generators. What do these companies do? What they do is they generate electricity and they provide it to the government. But always they have cash flow issues, because these are capital intensive projects, and over and above that, they are always at the mercy of state government electricity boards. They themselves do not know when the payment will come. The states have their own issues, fiscal deficits. They will have a lot of issues in cash flow. So you need to keep those in mind whenever you invest in shares, concerning the power sector. Like for example, another important thing we left out. What will be the impact of these companies on Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, Hindustan Petroleum, etc.? Because those companies are, being sold at a very good rates. The valuations are very good, and the whole ecosystem in this fossil fuels, etc., these companies play a very important role. There is one question everybody asks, because once you have these green hydrogen, your renewable, what will be the fate of these companies? And over and above that, the government is also talking in terms of privatizing some of the oil companies, especially BPCL, etc. So what will be the impact of all these on these oil companies? Do we invest in them or not? You may have these doubts, but I will be putting up more and more videos to clarify all this along with data. So by listening to one video, you are not going to become an expert, but I will continue putting these kind of videos for providing the required data, which company is good, when to buy, when to sell, how you should analyze the market. You need to have instinct knowledge. You yourself are not aware how you are taking the decision, but over a period of time, when you collect this kind of information, when you keep the pulse on the stock market over a period of time, you will automatically get that instinct skill, because the whole thing is about the game of probability. Because most of you who are engineering graduates or mathematics graduates, you would have learnt about Bayes' theorem, Pascal's theory, etc., etc. There's no 100% guarantee. It is all about probability, and that's what makes the whole game of being in the stock market a lot more interesting, and also financially interesting. Financially, it's a very good decision. And that's all for today, and we will be coming out with lots and lots of videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we are going to put so many videos on. And this is going to be the first channel in which videos will be there in all the three languages, which is Tamil, English and Hindi. Whatever you are comfortable listening, you can listen to any of these three languages, and the only objective is to provide general knowledge to you for people who are preparing for the competitive examination. And for those of you who want to make investment decisions, this will give you a background information in terms of where to invest, what to invest, and making your financial decisions. And of course, we live in the society, we sit with people, we discuss with people, we sit with our bosses, we interact with our clients, and all these places, this knowledge will help you project yourself as a real good professional. And this is Dr. Sadashiv signing off till we meet again. Bye bye. Jai Hind.